Hello, you are listening to On the Topic podcast, and this week I am the harbinger of doom. I'm going to be purging shit into the sea. I'm Dan.
And I am rolling up my sleeves, bringing out every manner of sea bomb possible. And I am Alex. And this week, Dan, it's going to get incredibly sweary.
Indeed.
Incredibly hot behind the collar. Because we are talking about things that grinds our gears, things which could be committed to sea, aren't we?
Yes, and we're going to be condemning them into the OTT Room 101 vault, which is located at the bottom of Portsmouth Harbour. So it is in the fucking sea. Already swearing.
He's already doing it. And I guess to that matter, yes, we have got an E for explicit because we probably won't be holding back. And in fact, some of you guys haven't either when you've given us some of your comments or voice notes. So if you're looking for an episode where we are polite, we're well spoken, we'll have some of that, but actually in probably equal measure, there's be plenty of sweary words. So if that's not for you, I mean, I'm not quite sure why you still listen to the podcast channel, but probably give this one a swerve. But otherwise, if you're fine with it, sit back, relax, enjoy, because we've got a splendid episode coming up for you this evening, or this morning, or this afternoon, wherever you're listening around the world.
Indeed. But I suppose before we kick things off, Alex, what have you been up to?
Yeah, it's been a week or so since we've last spoken. Work, a couple of days off here and there, work. So nothing really at all, Dan. I mean, just really preparing for next week where the family go on their annual holiday. We are not braving international skies this year for it may not be obvious to some listeners, but I think it's quite a good idea to get into a metal tube with recycled air just quite yet for a long haul distance. So we are going to go back up north in the UK to the lovely city of York. It's beautiful, it's northern, and it's very friendly. So, that's going to be us. I'm looking forward to that. But otherwise, Dan, not an awful lot. No. Oh, I rewatched Sunshine, the Danny Boyle science fiction thriller stroke horror.
Oh,
I don't think you've seen that one.
Didn't that come up in our favourite noughties films?
It did. It's so good. And actually stacks up today pretty well, actually. It doesn't age itself. The direction's brilliant. It's a great film. So I think I watched that. Nothing else really of note. Nothing really to report, Dan. How about yourself? Anything exciting?
Very much the same, to be honest, Alex.
Watching Sunshine?
Just working, working. Still watching the Olympics, of course. We're doing well in that.
I should have really done this. Quite unprofessional, and I'll talk about unprofessional people in a minute. It's one of my gears that I grind. But I have the Olympics on while I work. It's not the volume, which is I have it on the iPad that's mounted on the wall. And I've got many screens on as I work, and I glance up, and there's horse riding, or there's athletics, or there's shooting, or there's archery, or there's something. And I turned it on, Dan, and there was rock climbing. Now this is new to me, speed climbing. And I didn't know anything about it. I think it's really cool that I think we talked about in the last episode how there's skateboarding, there's jiu-jitsu or whatever.
Three-a-side basketball, which is an odd concept.
I haven't heard that one.
But one hoop.
Is that all you need, Dan?
That's all you need.
But the speed climbing, they were climbing this thing like spider monkeys in like 5 seconds flat. As quick as it started it was over. I've never seen anything quite like it before. Now, be it for me to question whether or not it's an actual Olympic sport, but there's no denying there's some skill there. So, I'm really enjoying just seeing the sheer variety of sports on the moment, Dan. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. And talking of going away, at the time of recording, in a couple of days, I'll be, as you say, on a tin tube. Although not travelling far, we're finally getting over to Cork in Ireland to see the extended family, as I call them, or my other
The
half's
Emerald,
mum.
the Emerald Isles.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. So we're both prepared. We have to prove that we've had our jabs and that we're staying at this address, blah, blah, blah. All that malarkey, because I'm sure the Irish government will check up on us like they did last September. But
Did
they did. They actually called me. They genuinely
brilliant.
called me to make sure that I was still at the address, that we weren't going far. Because, I mean, back in September, like, their rules were quite strict.
Yeah.
And whenever we did go out, we couldn't go into places. It was literally just a walk around Newell, and then we were back home. Couldn't do much, unfortunately. So whenever one of us had to do a shop run, we would all go out together, and then we'd send Claire's mum in with a list of things.
A
Hugely
long
for
list
me,
of things. Mainly beer.
mainly beer. See, you know me too well.
I do. What's it like there now, though, Dan? Do you know? Is it still quite rightly restrictive, or is it relaxed? Do you know what you're flying into?
Yes, so they've actually opened everything up like we have over here in the UK. But I think we're still on this list that that could potentially, if things change,
The shit list.
the shit list. I can't remember what it's called, Alex, but I'm sure if people look it up, then I could end up being sent home early, but I don't think it will happen that way, and we'll be sensible.
Hopefully, you won't be deported.
No, fingers crossed. So we're there for the week. My poor cat Quill, he's going to be looked after by a cat sitter and my dad. So he's in good hands.
Good. That's the main thing.
That's it. But then, Alex, I suppose we should probably get on to what is really grinding our gears.
Yeah, indeed.
I've got quite a few.
I've got a couple. I've got some axes to grind, as they say, or some bugs to bear. I don't think that really works quite the same way. But anyway, yes, you get the idea, listener. We've got a fair amount. Dan, do you want to kick us off with your first one?
You know what? I will kick this one off. It's quite a big one.
Get in there. Double-footed. Let's hear it. What are you talking about?
Double-footed, slide and tackle straight into Love Island.
Oh.
Yes. I can't stand it, Alex. For anyone that doesn't know what Love Island is, and presumably this will be our sort of overseas listeners, Love Island is a British dating game show.
Allegedly.
Now, there have been concerns raised about the pressures of reality TV over here. The show has received numerous complaints, with 4,100 people lodging official complaints about the 2018 series over issues such as the footage aired and how contestants have treated one another. So it gets a little bit feisty, and it does, unfortunately, affect the mental health of these contestants. It has had several criticisms, and it's not good for them, Alex. I don't know how it's still going, because I'm pretty sure right now, at the time of talking, it's still on air. Or is it finished?
I believe so. I think my wife is one of those people who watch it. I don't. It's terrible, but I think it's still going for a couple of weeks as of recording. Yeah.
You might have to apologise, sir, for me, Alex.
No apologies, mate. I'm fully in this boat with you. This is going deep in the sea for sure.
So, the charity Women's Aid has criticised the treatment of female contestants by controlling an abusive male contestant. So already, it's a little bit controversial. And then you've got the Mental Health Foundation charity also wading in and criticising the show for the negative impact it can have on viewers who feel insecure about their bodies. The show has also received criticism for its lack of body and ethnic diversity. So it's not looking good, is it?
No.
The show's producers responded to the criticism by stating that the show was aspirational and that they make no excuses about having a cast of attractive people on the show. I mean, it's kind of bleak. This is a little bit serious. I believe that 2 contestants in recent years have committed suicide, so that's not good.
Well, and the former presenter.
Yes, yeah. Of course. Yeah. Well, defend this, Love Island. Get in the fucking sea, you bunch of wank puffins.
That's right.
Your show sucks. It grinds my gears. I don't want to see people commenting about it on social media either. I don't care if Tim's cheating on Sally. I just could not care. It's toxic. It's nasty. It's shit.
It's also not real, and I think they tend to select people who have done the inverted commas influencing rounds, so that they won't actually pick people from normal backgrounds. You know, they may go, well, they're boring. Okay, fair play, but then don't pretend that this is people from the general public and you just randomly selected them who've applied. You're actually handpicking those who've got a social media influence and can push your product placement.
Yeah.
So don't dress it up for something that it isn't, because it isn't a cross-section society, because you don't have people from different backgrounds or different sexual orientations. That is just a fact. And if you look in society, we have that. And it's a great thing, by the way. And I have one of my gears to talk about that in a minute on that topic. But it's not representative of society. No. In certain countries, it may do, right? I won't talk about those. That's not my place. And people may not see anything wrong with them. But in the UK, I welcome that. That's something which I really support and I enjoy. So for it not to be on the TV, I just cringe that people across the world may see this and think that's like the UK, because it's not. We all don't have, fake tan. We don't all have big boobs. We don't all have, shining white teeth.
6 packs. I'm rocking a dad bod and I'm not even a parent.
Yeah, man, there's nothing wrong with that. I just think it's just, I know that's not entertainment. I know it's the whole point of it, but it's not reality TV. Come on, it's far from that.
Agreed.
Fuck them.
Get in the sea. So, Alex, what is your first one?
Yeah.
What's grinding your gears?
I'm going to lowball this, and I'm going to start off. I'm going to ease you in gently, guys. Nice and gently. You won't need a lube for this, because I think everyone could agree. So I'm not going to force it. This is people who eat with their mouths open.
Oh, God, this is horrific.
Now, it might be a bit harsh to say, they can just immediately stop breathing, or I can chain a heavy object to their legs and chuck them overboard, because that'd be tantamount to murder. But I do not understand, and I'm talking about adults now, and I'm talking about children or perhaps people who should know or don't know better. I'm talking about grown-ass adults, Dan.
Yeah.
Who can't keep their fucking mouths closed when they're eating. I do not need to see you masticating. I do not need to see, and that is masticating. I don't need to see you doing that. I don't need to see the food reenacting my washing machine going round in your mouth before then you swallowing or slurping. I don't need it. I know what it tastes like because it's in my mouth. I don't need to see it. And I'll give you an interesting anecdote, Dan.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a while ago now when I first got with my wife. I'm sure my sister-in-law won't mind me mention this because no one knows who she is. But anyway, there are plenty of people out there. Her ex-boyfriend at the time, ex-partner, because she was with him for a couple of years. Thankfully, no longer, because he's an absolute prick. He just couldn't keep his mouth closed. And every dinner table, we get the family together. The mum, myself, my wife, sister-in-law, partner. I would eat, get either cook dinner or we'd have a meal. And we'd do it every weekend or a couple of days. Quite a nice thing. And everyone would be, enjoying themselves and eating a lovely meal. And it's just the side of your eye that is caught, or your ears,
Oh, it's disgusting. I used to have someone I used to work with. She wouldn't always sit with me, but then whenever she was sort of nearby, you could just hear it in the canteen. I was like,
it's bad though, Dan.
No. I mean, my mum raised me quite well, I'd like to think. And, if I ever chewed my mouth open and made that sort of champing noise, yeah, she'd clip me around the ear, or she would bollock me. You're like, chew your mouth closed. And, eventually it sunk in. And, like, even now as a grown adult, you go out with your friends or you go out with your other half. And, you sort of respect that. They say people don't want to see you with your mouth open and
100% not
seeing the food contents there, shoveling into their mouth, being mushed down. We don't want to see it.
But it got so bad, Dan, that we went out for dinner. I used to have to tactically position myself out of his eye line or my eye line from him seeing him, and hopefully near a busier table, so I just didn't have to hear it. And that's bad. But you can't actually go to someone, by the way, close your fucking mouth, because that's disgusting. You just got to deal with it, because, I'm not an arsehole. Well, people may think I am, but I try not to be. And so you can't give them that feedback. But you're like, how is it that you're an adult and you still don't get it? And it also stresses me out because, when we're having a takeaway say, we were, because you get that noise, it up the ante. So everyone felt like they had to eat quickly because they were hearing him eat, slobbering and slapping his lips everywhere. And everyone was then like gorging themselves quickly because they felt like there was a race. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. So yeah, close your fucking mouth, you dirty bastards, because we don't need to see it. We don't need to hear it. Just learn some basic manners. If you're going to eat like a human being, start acting like one. Otherwise, you can eat out of the dog bowl on the floor like where you belong. So actually, let's put that cinder block chained to your ankles and throw you off the edge, because they can be sent right to the bottom of the sea down, in my opinion.
Crab for tea, innit?
It's not we're not asking too much, just eat nicely.
I do find that a little bit inhumane that you've just chained them up and then lobbed them in. You're not putting them in the vault, Alex. That's quite savage.
Yeah, they're not even worthy of the vault, Dan. We don't want any risk of them being preserved.
Anyway, crabs and whelks for tea. Sorry, you bastards.
Get in.
Oh boy, this is a biggie for me.
Oh yeah.
Political talk.
Oh,
I hate it.
Do you?
I genuinely despise it. And I'll tell you why. It's because it's too emotive.
Tell me.
It brings out the worst in people, doesn't it? Do you agree? If you've got someone that's on, I don't know, like the opposing view of yours, it just turns them into an arsehole. Or is that just me?
No. I think you got to pick your battles. So I don't think in our social circles, Dan, we talk about politics too much. And
no,
I agree, actually, to some extent. I don't really want to know, because I don't want people to think ill of me if I have an opposing view. And actually, I don't want to think ill of them, because actually that's just not something I need to know about. But I do enjoy the odd political sparring with other friendship groups. I've got a WhatsApp group, old current, whatever you want to call them, work colleagues. So some I work with, but not directly with anymore. But we all got together and all started our careers together, kind of thing. We all stay together on this WhatsApp group. And sure enough, it's rife with politics. But we've got a good spectrum of people who believe in the greater good and helping one another, which is mainly me. We've got some people who think, no, fuck you, I pay for my taxes, so why shouldn't you? Even if you can't afford it, you should just suffer, which is the other side. And you can kind of see where my allegiances lie. And you got somewhere in the middle where people can see merits in both. So I do enjoy the odd philosophical, political sparring, but it's got to be with certain groups. I couldn't do it with my parents, Dan, because they're of an age where they've grown up in a different kind of society than we are now. So, yeah, you're right. In the main, probably steer well clear of it. But sometimes you have got to flex those that grey matter and actually sometimes stand up for what you believe in. But in the main, Dan, I do agree with you. It's probably something that you probably shouldn't talk about.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we seem to have family parties, there's always one uncle, and he'll always ask, "Oh, how did you vote in the, Brexit, or how you vote in the general election?" He's this guy, okay. And the minute you sort of utter who you voted for, how you voted, he's on you. He doesn't give you a chance to explain. He'll just waffle on at you like, "Oh, this is why you need to vote for blah 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 blah." I don't care. You don't need to tell me. I do my research and I vote in a way that I believe suits me. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been on the winning side of an election, if that sort of gives anything away. But I don't care. I don't care if that's how you want to vote, Uncle P. You do it. I'm not going to name drop him, but yeah, I don't care.
Well, you kind of had Dan because
Kind
we
of
know
have.
who you are, and
use your imagination.
He's an uncle, and we know his name begins with a P. But yeah, I agree. It is a very personal thing, and I think in certain situations you just don't need to go down that route.
No, it's the same on social media as well, especially Twitter. You know, as soon as you sort of like retweet something and
I love it.
say something positive or say something negative about something, and you suddenly get a horde of people just jumping on. You're like, oh well, I wasn't expecting that. That's my day ruined. Bye. So yeah, it's just too emotive. But like I said, I think if you choose your battles, you can actually sort of talk about it in a respectful and polite and calm way. But some people just aren't.
No.
They can be very disrespectful, and people like my uncle just does my head in. Sorry. So political talk is being locked away in the vault, never to be seen again.
It's sinking to the bottom.
Mm.
My next one, Dan. This one's an interesting one because I don't think either of us have probably done it in a long, long time now, due to the current situation. Actually, I quite enjoyed table service. But do you remember back in the day? Cast your mind back, where you were at the bar, you're getting a drink in, and you've been waiting patiently. Because us Brits, we love a bit of queuing, so we know we wait our turn. So when look, Dan, I'm not sure many of our listeners know this because you wouldn't have got that from a picture on our website or from my voice, but I'm not particularly tall chap, 5'6", 5'7" on a good day. You can see why this is important in a second. So when you're at the bar and you're waiting patiently, and all you want is your cold brew, and you stood there like a good British citizen.
Yeah.
And the waiter, waitress, the barman, bar person says, "Who's next?" And it's your time to shine, Dan.
You're waving your £10 note at them, right? You're waving me.
Yeah, and you need to quench that thirst, and your lips are dry and they're cracked, and you feel as though you're about to pass out. You need something wet to moisten the palate, and you go in to raise your hand. And say, yes, it is I. It is me. It's me, Alex. I've waited patiently. I've been a good lad. I just want my fucking beer. And then some absolute knob jock says, "Yeah, it's me. Can I have 14 pints of Guinness?" And you look over and they look at you with a wry smile and then just look away as though you don't exist. And like, are you absolute fucking arsehole? I've waited. I've been very patient. It's my turn. And you get an absolute rounding, and I've got to wait another fucking 10 minutes before then I've got to try again. Before some other idiot comes in, in a tight white vest, V-neck vest, and flip-flops, who thinks that, he's got the God-given right to order ahead of everyone else. And it does my tits in, Dan. It really fucks me off because I do the right thing. If I know that someone's ahead of me, I'll let them go. I'll wave them forwards so they can quickly get to their beverage and enjoy the much-loved time with that pint. And all I ask, Dan, is a bit of reciprocation.
Yeah.
But no, these people, absolute arseholes, exist in this world. And I'm quite happy at the moment that most pubs still offer table service because that's queuing proper. There's no who's tallest, who's flashing the £50 notes that's probably fake, who's wearing their finest Primark purchase. None of that, Dan. You're just a number. But I'm fine with that because if I'm number fucking 5 in the list, it doesn't matter if knob jockey number 10 is going to trump me. He's got to wait with his 10 or 15 fucking pints of Guinness. It takes forever to get poured. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
at the moment, that's one of the benefits of this current situation. There's not many of them. It must be said.
This is one of the reasons why I turned into a craft beer hipster. This thing doesn't happen in tap rooms, in say Staggeringly Good or Unbarred in Brighton. Never have any of these problems. So you say
there's a decorum, isn't there, with those types of drinkers, Dan?
But I've got a story actually.
Oh yeah.
So me and our friend Dan, Solent Comedy, we went to the pub one day, couple of pints, bit of day drinking, nothing mad, just to catch up, couple of pints, you just want to chill out and you want that cold pint in your mouth. So we went into a pub on Guildhall Walk. I'm not going to name which one. We go in there and we stood there for about 10 minutes. The waitress or the bar lady. She sat there and she's basically just chatting to someone. She's already caught our eye.
Oh.
We're waiting for ages. Okay, so
See where this is going.
someone else walks in, goes
Oh.
straight up to the bar, and immediately she served them.
Ooh.
And at this point, we were like, okay, this is a joke. We turned around and left, and we went to a different pub on Guildhall Walk.
Yeah, fuck them.
But yeah, what is that all about? How does that work?
Can I just up that, Dan, and say actually, and look, I say this because I've been there, I've done it, so I can say with some relative understanding of the topic. So, but this is to do with services of all sorts. So, be it a pub, be it a supermarket, which either of us or both of us have both done most or if not both those jobs. It could be a clothes shop. It could be anything that you're looking for a service from a human being to help you out. Because I can't fucking go to the back of the store cupboard and fetch something that isn't out on the racks. So I've got to ask you. I'm sorry, I don't want to, but I've got to do it. So if I'm asking you for something, there's a good fucking reason why I'm doing it. So anyway, what I really dislike is in a similar situation, Dan, the person knows you're waiting, but they're still having a fucking conversation with their work colleague or their mate.
Oh no, it's the worst.
And look, don't get me wrong, work sometimes can be a bit of a ball ache. And I know you just want to catch up with your mate, so just to serve this customer, right, Dick? He did this, or and that happens, right? And I'm not blind to it. I've done it before. It's a way of understanding, getting through the working day, whether you like your job or not.
Yeah,
agreed. But if you know someone's waiting and they're being patient, they're not, obnoxious, they're not, obtuse, and you can see them, don't ignore them and fucking continue the conversation. Because I'm here, I'm waiting. Finish it politely, say, oh, be with you 2 moments. Or, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. How can I help?
Exactly.
But to ignore me for another fucking couple of minutes, it's just taking the fucking biscuit down. And that hasn't even made the list. And right now, I can feel my blood boiling. That's absolute appalling service. And I do pride myself in knowing what that looks like. As I say, I'm all for people talking about the jobs and unwinding, but not on my time.
No, not when you're a paying customer.
Well, I just don't want to bother people. I actually apologise. I say, sorry for interrupting, but could you help me? I'm quite a polite guy. I like to think I am. But just to look at me and go, nope, you can fucking wait your turn. It's like, well, you don't really talk about work, though. You talk about how your best mate mouthed off at Sally down at Flair's the other week and they got into a ruckus. Or, oh, did you know Phil's boning Monica? But Willie doesn't know. Who gives a shit? I just would like a little bit of recognition. And we can go on our separate ways. That really grinds my gears down.
Do you know what? I'm going to jump in, actually. Again, this sort of ties in with probably both, actually. Queue jumpers.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, this really bugged me. This happened to me a couple of weeks ago. So I went to Tesco to do my weekly shop.
Where you get your best clothes.
It's a Thursday or Friday evening. So I'm queuing up quite patient. I've got a young lad in front of me. And, you're still trying to socially distance, okay? So there's still a gap between me and him and this person in front of us. And then along comes a snotty woman, okay? She comes in and then she goes right in front of the young lad in front of me. And I thought...
Dan, sorry. Snotty or snooty?
Snotty, snooty, both.
She got a streaming nose. She got a cold.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know if it's a bit of a pompy thing to say snotty or, if it's snooty, then I've been corrected.
What am I saying? No.
Very, very, very up herself anyway.
Yes.
And if I had my mask on, so she didn't hear me, and I just thought, okay, I'm going to leave it. But it really grinds my gears. You can clearly see we're queuing up. We're just socially distanced. Why, even like pre-pandemic, when people used to do it, used to wind me up.
Oh, yeah. Or when you right in there.
Or if you're queuing up, I mean, I'm going back years now when going clubbing was cool. I'm too old for that now. And you'd have people coming up and they'd find their friends in the queue and then they'll just pile
Yep.
in.
Jump in
Fuck
there.
off. Fuck right off.
Wait
I'm
your
queuing
turn.
up. I want to get in and I want to drink my beer and have a good night. And you're ruining it for me and prolonging this whole thing.
And actually, Dan, as on the topic, the hate is now flowing from me now. It's in full flow. Christmas last year, so in the UK in 2020, around end of November, December, near our birthdays, respectively, things were a little bit quieter just before another lockdown. We didn't know what was to come.
No.
Months and months of lockdown. But anyway, we could go shopping, and sure enough, I did. But we're still fairly well into now a global pandemic. None of this is fucking news. So I'm queuing up in a well-known bookstore to purchase some books that my wife has duly pointed out to me, and I'm queuing there, giving a good distance between myself and the person in front of me. And this older gentleman, so long in the tooth, in his golden years, he's literally so close I can hear him breathe in my ear.
Oh.
He's almost, if he started to talk, he'd inadvertently lick my neck. And it was so close. And I'm not one of those people. I'm again one of those British people who I'll just suck it up. I'll deal with it. And I will be polite and I'll grit my teeth and I'll ignore it. But this is the only time I turned around and said, "Excuse me, can you just can you back up, please? Just give me some space." He looked at me like I'd asked him to pull down his fucking pants. Like I'd asked him to do something that was really untoward and unheard of in a store. Anyway, I ignored him because bloke's prick. But have some awareness, guys. As I say, whether or not you agree or you subscribe to the current rules as of recording, where apparently certain leaders in the UK think there's no longer a pandemic and you can just do whatever you want, there is still some good basic hygiene or good practice. But all things aside, this was actually in the global pandemic, Dan. This is when there were restrictions enforced. And this guy just wasn't giving me the space. So I had to just tend to back the fuck up. But I did it in a polite way. But I felt like I was the arsehole the way he looked at me. I was like, well, I'm not asking for anything quite unreasonable. You know, everyone else is observing something that's quite appropriate and timely. So why can't you do as you're told? And that really pissed me off.
I mean, I think we've got a voice note later about personal space. Yeah, definitely an interesting subject for sure. I think a lot of this revolves around people. Some of our suggestions.
Yeah, they are problematic. But yeah, all of that wrapped up, Dan. But where it all started was people at the bar just, let me have my pint and don't chop in. Wait your fucking turn.
Exactly. Agreed.
What have you got next time?
Next up, I have got armchair football managers.
Oh, yeah.
They grind my gears to no end. And I think social media probably amplifies this even more. You know, I make it no secret. You know, I'm a Pompey fan. I'm in forums. I follow loads of Pompey fans on Twitter. I run a Pompey page myself. And, you know, I think especially over the summer when, you know, you'd see Gareth Southgate's team selections, people jump on board. Oh, I would do this. I would do that.
Yeah, well, play Grealish. No, you're not the manager, mate. And Jack Grealish is just one man. So pipe down.
Exactly. It does my head in. I'm already so angry. I'm lost for words. If you're that qualified, or if you believe you're that qualified, go do your badges and you try and become England manager. Yeah. You try and impress me. Otherwise, get in the sea. I don't care. It's when it's always the same people as well. They always seem to pipe up. You could go on an absolute purple streak. You could win 7-8 games on the trot. And you have one bad day and you lose. These people suddenly pipe up and they're going, "Oh, we were shit, blah, blah, blah. I would have done, blah, blah, blah. We should have done. Could have, would have, should have. We've lost, but we're still top of the league."
There you go.
I don't know.
Deal with it.
bugs me. I don't know about you, Alex. I mean, I know you're a footy fan yourself. Do you ever see this stuff? Or...
A little bit. I'll have my opinion, but I won't necessarily share it because, to your point, Dan, I'm no professional. I haven't seen how the guys have played in the week leading up to that match. They could have had shockers in in training. They could have picked up injuries that haven't been, communicated out to the media. They could be having a bad time. They could be ill. They could be this. They could be that. What is it our place to question the people who actually use their jobs? I don't see the managers or the coaches turning around to me and say, Alex, you shit your job. I wouldn't have done that way. So what right is it that we have to question them? So yeah, I think it's a fair one, Dan.
What you got next?
I need to precursor this, Dan, with I don't actually surround myself with people who say this. So this is people who are over here, or people that I have some very basic affiliation with in some manner of my life. But thankfully, it's not my friends or family. It's mostly people over here. But when people start the sentences with, I'm not a racist, but...
Oh, yeah. It's always the but.
Okay, Karen, let me fucking start by saying you're a fucking racist. Because what you're doing effectively is you're trying to distance yourself from what you're about to say, but still have the synergies with someone who is that label. It doesn't matter whether that person who's doing something wrong or something they think is illicit or incorrect or not the social norm. It doesn't matter, Dan. If they're black, brown, yellow, pink, purple, green, they're a person, and if you think they're fucked up, they're fucked up. It's not because of their race. It's not because necessarily of their culture. You're a dick. Don't fucking say I'm not a racist, but because you fucking are. How about you start the sentence with, I saw this person, what a cock, they did this. Yeah. That's more accurate because actually it's nothing to do with the affiliation of that religion, that race, that sexual orientation. It could be the same for all of it, right? I know this gay person, this, or this, I don't know, this, oh yeah, those bloody Christians. No, it's the person. They may have a particular orientation or a particular, as I say, affiliation with something, but don't start with, I'm not a racist, but, because you fucking are. All right? So you just need to pack the fuck in. And I actually prefer, if people wanted to start a sentence, they probably just don't open their mouths. Because it's probably going to be bile and it's probably not going to be very nice. So as I say, thankfully, Dan, I actually don't have anyone that I surround myself with for good, obvious reasons that would actually say something like that. But you do, on the odd occurrence, overhear it. And those people, they're not even, again, deserving of the vault, Dan.
Straight in,
with the least amount of concrete possible because we don't want to waste resource on them. But they can just fuck off and drown because there's no reason on this God green earth why we should be differentiating anyone on that basis or anything else that I've said. Judge people on their actions, but on their actions alone, not because of, the tone of their skin.
Agreed.
You can absolutely fuck right off with that. Not interested. Bit of a serious one there, Dan, but still, nonetheless, it really pisses me off.
I mean, the fact that you're telling these people to drown, that's quite savage.
It is, but they clearly don't have an appreciation of just what a wonderful world this is, with all of the brilliant backgrounds, cultures, and experiences that people come with. I was remarking, well, me and my wife often, look around Portsmouth, and I'd say when I first started my studies here, it was predominantly white people that you pass on the street. And even then, there might be some Eastern European kind of mix into that, but mainly it was white people, and that was really odd for someone like me coming from South London, because because we were a melting pot of different cultures and people who didn't look anything like me, and that was brilliant. I embraced that. But to Portsmouth then, it didn't really have any kind of diversity really at all. But now you go down the street and you see a wonderful mix of people from different backgrounds and cultures. And I think that makes things all the better. I think society is better for it. I think it brings different perspectives and different backgrounds. And that's why I'm really quite scathing of the people that use that as a negative. Because if you've got a problem with someone, you've got a problem with that individual. It's got nothing to do with people who share the way they look or they share that nationality. You can't tarnish someone with the same brush just because they look different to you. Fuck off.
It's just a dangerous line, isn't it? You know, I'm not racist, but you
we're
just
not in
say.
1950s Britain down anymore. Like, things have moved on so much. The world's gotten smaller. You mentioned it a couple of times already. Social media. The world has gotten smaller. Everyone's got an opinion, whether it's right or wrong or bang against society. It is what it is. And you can message someone right now in another country. You can probably wake them up and you can have a conversation with them in 5, 6, 7 time zones. That's an amazing thing. So for someone who doesn't want that experience of being able to share the richness of humanity, in my opinion, doesn't deserve to share humanity with other people, go live on a fucking island because you're not wanted. Because integrate and be part of a growing movement of like-minded individuals from different backgrounds.
Exactly.
Yeah. Get in the sea.
On a much lighter note,
yeah,
I'll tell you what grinds my gears. People who drive Miss Daisy. You're probably thinking, damn, what is driving Miss Daisy? Well, I'll give you an example. Okay, so we've got a road that goes through Portsmouth and takes you off the island, and you go either east or west. World's your oyster.
Pretty straightforward.
So anyway, the Eastern Road has 3 different speed limits. So it goes from 30 up to 40, up to 50, and then down as you get to the roundabout, which you can either go up the M27 to go towards Southampton, or up the A27 towards Havant, Chichester, blah, blah, blah. It grinds my gears, Alex, when you're in say, the 30 mile per hour zone, but someone's doing 20. Or when you get to the 40 mile per hour zone, someone's doing 30. Or you get to the 50 mile per hour zone and someone's doing 35, 40. It does my head in. I follow the speed limits. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm not a perfect driver by any stretch, but, I will always follow the speed limits I'm given. I want to get to A to B as quick as I can.
In the appropriate speed assigned by the laws of the road.
Yeah.
I think my driving instructor, I can hear him now. If I close my eyes, I can hear old Mr. Wheeler speaking to me like Obi-Wan is in Star Wars, this ethereal figure in my mind's eye. And as I was driving, and I was doing exactly what you said, Dan, as I was learning to drive. And he said, Alex, it's a speed limit, but it's also a speed target. So put your fucking foot down. And I had quite an inappropriate banter kind of relationship with my driving instructor, but he was brilliant. He made it enjoyable and fun and less stressful. He was so cool that when Hot Fuss came out by The Killers, whether you like the album or the band or not, it's irrespective. We put in the DVD player. Yes, DVDs, I know, old, but we put it in, windows down, we play basically the whole album during my 45, 50 minutes of driving lesson. And he would focus on, this is a good track, turn up, Alex. Quite inappropriate, but he was safety first. But anyway, he would say, Alex, put the fucking foot down.
Yeah.
You're slowing up traffic. And I think it's fair to say, look, that is the expectation, because that road should be driven at that speed. You shouldn't exceed it, but you certainly should be aiming towards that speed, because that's a proper flow of traffic. So I 100% subscribe to what you're saying, Dan.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it's a very similar story. I passed my driving test a lot later on in life. I was about 29, I think, when I finally passed. And I still remember one day I was going up this road, and my driving instructor Tony turned to me. He went,
Good old Tony.
he was a northerner. He was from Sheffield. He's like, Dan, you're driving Miss Daisy. I mean, I don't know if he sounds like Paul Cook, who is now Ipswich manager, but yeah. Anyway, I was like, what do you mean, drive Miss Daisy? Went, you're in a 20 mile per hour zone. You're doing 10. And I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, put my foot down. And he'd always sort of say that if I was going too slow, like, you're driving Miss Daisy. So, I've learned from that, and it now drives me insane when, you're stuck behind these people.
Well, how did he talk again? Sorry, Dan, just rewind that again. How did he speak to you?
You're driving Miss Daisy.
Do you know, I've heard something very similar, which sounds a little bit like, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. And it sounds like he'd be a doppelganger of Christian Bale's Batman. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon so. Just a Sheffield version.
Brilliant.
Obviously, I can't do a northern accent.
I like it. I can't do accents either.
Yeah, I can do one of Stuart Griffin. There you go. You can have that one for free.
Oh, that is a good one. I like
it. So yeah, people who drive Miss Daisy. But what about you, Alex? What's your next one?
I'm going to cheekily bolt onto that and then go afterwards, just because I don't want to use up the time. But we'll say the opposite today is tailgaters.
Ooh,
and it's usually someone with an Audi badge. It's usually an S5.
Or a BMW.
Or a BMW.
Or a Mercedes.
Conveniently forgets to use their indicators. People right up your fucking bumhole, and they're so impatient they want you to get out of the way. And you may theoretically, Dan, be on the motorway driving at 75, 80 miles an hour. Now in the UK, depending on what road you're on, it's 70 miles an hour if it's a motorway.
Yeah.
So I'm already going faster than I'm supposed to. I'm probably going at a speed that's appropriate for that situation, because usually cars in front of me. And this prick behind me can see it, but he's weaving in and out, and he's trying to illustrate, trying to get past me by trying to come over to the right or come over to the left to indicate to get the hell over. And I can see, mate. I can see in my rearview mirror. But I'm not going anywhere. If I pull in, you'll only be stuck behind the person I'm stuck behind. So back the fuck up and wait your turn. It really irritates me because there is a reason why I'm in that lane and not in another one. I'm only in that fast lane, because let's face it, not going to be in another lane, in that fast lane because I'm overtaking. That is a law of the land. Usually why in the UK, if you're in that outer lane, the faster one is only to overtake. So I'm not there to hog. I go straight back into the middle one or the inside if it's appropriate. So there's a fucking good reason why I'm there, Dan. But that's not good enough for them. They think they know better. They think they're entitled. An old Bill in his souped-up Golf, or David, who's a salesman in his M5 series, thinks that he's more important than I am in my not so mediocre 1.6 turbo Vauxhall Astra. But still, it is nothing to write home about. But anyway, I have equal opportunities and you to share that road. So back up, give me 2 car lengths, and stop sniffing my bumhole.
2-second rule, isn't
it? Yeah, a little bit.
I think the rule I learned is the 2-second rule, and my instructor always said only a fool breaks the 2-second rule, and if I suppose the best way of doing it is if the car in front of you and you do the rhyme and you get to a certain point where they are.
Yeah.
If you suddenly cut off, then you're going too fast.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a bit of a stupid way to explain it, but at the same time, it's very sensible.
It's spot on. So, tailgaters for me. But I'm just going to bolt onto that as a brand new one, Dan. Again, this is actually pre-COVID, but even more important now than ever. People who cough without covering their fucking mouths.
Oh, yeah, they're just the worst. And now, again, not kids, right? I mean, kids...
No. I mean,
don't know any better.
Yeah, to a certain age, they don't. But this is even before, if you've got a cough, you most likely got something that's quite serious to someone else. I'm not talking about like the last 18 months, 2 years. I was talking about before. And, you know, I may have been walking through the office. Someone started to cough without their hands and they're still typing away at their computer. Okay. So you just sprayed the poor unfortunate bastard sat opposite you. You've sprayed your keyboard, which is a communal keyboard. Well done, Frank. You've sprayed the screen, which you're working on. So when a cleaner is walking around, probably in 6 months' time, they may get to it. But between now and then, someone else is going to be, you know, exposed to the nastiness that's at the back of your throat or your nose. And you're probably taken out a couple of people with a really stupid cold or the flu virus. Round of a fucking applause. Well done. But this isn't anything new, Dan. As I say, this is just people, you know, even in supermarkets, in closed, confined spaces, they are everywhere, and they even still do it, Dan. I was walking down the road the other day. There's a couple of people, you know, close proximity, coughing. I was like, look, I know we're outside, mate. Common decency, the same as the freaking guy with his mouth open when he's eating.
Oh.
Who raised you to fucking cough with your mouth open, you dirty bastard? You know, put your hand over your mouth. Yeah, you don't have to do it in the crease of your arm, like they say is probably the best way of doing it now. Do something. But I do not want to share the contents of your cold. It's just not something I aspire to do. When I wake up in the morning, I don't think, you know what, I fancy getting that guy's cough, or that flu bout that's going to make me bedridden for 4 days. No thanks. I don't think like that. So don't share it with me, thanks.
Agreed.
There's people who still do it, Dan. That really, really fucks me off.
In a pandemic as well. Christ.
Yeah, it's just it's careless. I know mistakes happen. I know, you know, you may have your hands full or something. That there are exceptions. I'm not, you know, that much of an arsehole to think that you could always do it, but you need to make the effort. But, you know, there are people that just don't. I'm like, come on, guys, it's not difficult.
Do we really want to dirty the vault with these people? You know, well, I suppose
not.
it doesn't really matter, does it? Because they're going to be
Well, no.
coughing over all this other crap that we've just condemned.
In the bottom of the sea. But you know what I mean? Like it's all about how you've been raised. It's just common decency, Dan. So yeah, people who cough without covering their damn mouths.
Bastards.
Cretins. What about you?
Right, next one up. Electric scooters.
That's an interesting one.
And I'll tell
all of
you
them,
why.
or just the type of rider?
I suppose we could probably say the type of rider, but
no, you don't have to back down. If you think it's all of them, fair fucking game. I'm just wondering whether you've got a particular group, a subgroup of those people who don't have an etiquette, or whether it's all of them. That's all.
I'd probably just say all of them, to be honest.
Yeah, fair.
I just think it's annoying. You know, you've got teenagers and you've got young adults riding around on these things in Portsmouth, and now you know you can now hire one. I don't know why. I just think they're dangerous and, you know, quite reckless. Now, I'll tell you why it grinds my gears, Alex. So,
tell me.
Near to where I live, I'll sort of describe it. You probably know what I mean. So there's a roundabout. You've got Goldsmith Avenue, you've got the roundabout, and it's got like another 3 exits.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go right to go over Fratton Bridge to take me home. So I get to the roundabout. I stop and wait for the cars to go by, and as I go, someone on an e-scooter comes speeding round. And I tell you, if I hadn't been sort of quite aware and quite in my peripheral, I would have hit him. You know, this guy didn't have a helmet on. He didn't have any pads. If I'd hit him, even at 5-10 miles per hour, he would have gone flying.
Yeah, it's going to hurt.
You know, he was only in shorts and t-shirt. I could have killed him. You know, potentially killed him, or at worst, put some holes in his body because he's skid across the tarmac. Thankfully, I was well on the ball. I was caught in my peripheral, broke quite hard, and I just thought, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, could you not stay on the pavement? Could you not use the traffic lights, which are right there, to cross the road? But no, he comes speeding round. I just think these people either need to have a license or they need to be illegal. I don't know.
Well, they are. This is the thing, but it's not something you can really enforce because quite a few of those people out there.
No.
And I'm not sure if you looked it up, Dan, but it's usually one type of scooter, at least in the UK, that's quite prevalent. It's I think they're called pure e-scooters. They're usually black with some red trim. They look quite decent. Do you know how much they go for, Dan?
Oh,
Ballpark.
I'm going to go in. It's probably going to be more, isn't it? But I'm going to go in for a nice, hefty £250.
Not bad. Add another ton, you're probably there, about 350 quid.
Okay.
That's not cheap, but you get a lot of people, teenagers who are like, 13, 14, 15, riding on those. Where the fuck is a 13-year-old getting 350 quid to ride around a scooter? Or, where'd you get that money? When I was 13, I was lucky. I mean, different backgrounds, different times, but I was scrambling around, 20 quid here and there, doing my chores. Fucking 350 quid. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of teenagers on them. So, first of all, what is going on there? But yeah, 100%. With the stuff that you could rent, I mean, it's arguable whether to your point, Dan, whether you need to rent an e-scooter in Portsmouth because it is flat. It's a purpose-made island.
Yeah, it's not exactly a big place either. You could, from my house to the seafront, it only takes about 20 minutes to walk.
It's about 6 miles wide, for fuck's sake. So where are you going on this? That you need to be there in any quicker time than an Uber? 100%, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, it's when you get the idiots as well. You've got someone riding it, but they've got like a mate or two on the back. Like, what? How are you squeezing 3 people on this scooter? Like, what are you doing?
And it's when they're like, when they hit the ground.
Especially during the summer. I don't know if you've noticed it. You get these people on their e-scooters and they're weaving in and out of the busy crowds down the common. It drives me insane.
It's and you're right, Dan, because if you hit that idiot, it's going to be you that's in trouble.
Yeah.
And then the only slight saving grace with the rentals are I think you need a credit card in order to activate them.
Yes.
So you've got to be a certain age. It doesn't mean to say that you've still got the smarts or the common sense. Whereas these private ones, you can't enforce because there's not enough police because they haven't been funded. So you're not going to attend to an e-scooter riding down the road when you got a domestic abuse or domestic violence issue going off on a 999 call. So I 100% understand why it's not something which can be enforced, but it does leave us at their peril.
Yeah. So e-scooters, straight in the vault, never to be seen again. I mean, I wish that was the case, but alas, well, they're in my room 101. That's all that matters.
I agree, Dan.
What's next for you, Alex?
This is any professional walk of life. It doesn't happen that often. And again, I'm talking about the quintessential Britishness that's coming at me now. But people who start emails with just my name. Alex. And if I'm lucky, a comma.
No good morning then. No good morning, good afternoon.
No. Hi, Alex. How you doing? Or one of my personal favourites. Hi, blah, blah. Oh, hi, Dan. I hope you're keeping well. Because, it's a bit fucking timely that I'm asking about their health and I'm hoping that they're okay. But, be it from me to be overly sensitive on that matter. But no, Alex. Blah, 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 blah. Invariably, when you say to someone in an email, it's probably asking for something. It's not too much to ask, just for a little bit of niceties. Even if you don't really care about how I am, even if you don't give a shit about my health, still say it. Still say, "Oh, hi, Alex. How you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. Not Alex. Bit passive aggressive. Now you could say, "Alex, you're reading too much into it." They just cut into the chase, they're direct. Fine. I do kind of understand that, but the Britishness in me still wants someone to say, "How are you doing?" Because it's something which we're ingrained to do as a British person, Dan. The moment we pop out of our mother's wombs, we're usually apologising and we're usually very, very polite. And that's at the age of 2 minutes old.
Yeah. It's a very British thing.
It is. We're always doing it. Or most of us. So it just translates through. And you can say, well, you're being overly professional, overly polite. Fine. But don't just go 2-footed in saying Alex. Because that indicates I've done something wrong. or you're being curt. So it's a very silly one, but it still fucks me off. Just say, hi, Alex, or hi. But just say Alex can get in the sea.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Working for the man, it's such a common thing, and I think I'm very conscious, especially now. In the middle of a pandemic, I always sort of say, "Hi, blah blah blah. I hope you are well."
Yeah, or I hope you're keeping safe.
If they don't ask that question, that's fine.
I do. Yeah, I do genuinely want good, safe people. So I do have best wishes. So yeah, not too much to ask. A little bit of niceties, and then get into it.
Talk about things that aren't nice, Alex. My next one and my penultimate, the British media.
Oh yeah.
Why are we so negative? Why are they always contradicting themselves? Why are they always being ironic? I can't
Money talks,
stand
Dan.
it. It really does. And you know what? That's all I need to say, really. Negative, contradictive, and ironic. 1 week they'll be slagging something off, and then the next week it's the best thing since sliced bread.
We were watching a program a couple of weeks ago. It was on BBC iPlayer. Other streaming services are available. I pay my TV license as any other law-abiding citizen. But anyway, it was on there, and it was looking back at the role of the media in the 90s specifically. And Dan, some of the shit they were saying, or some of the pictures, upskirting pictures, or taking a picture when a celebrity's getting out of the car when, they got a short dress on. And that made front page. Like, are you fucking for real? Like, if you did that today, you would be sued to half an inch of a life because it's disgusting and it's degrading and it's all the rest of it. Back in the 90s, when the British media were probably at their peak, when they were chasing Princess Diana down tunnels, and who knows what happened next. But anyway, they were literally hounding people. Paparazzi were at their peak because they were being paid thousands of pounds for a snap of that hottest celebrity. And some of the things which they've done or said to people was just shocking and horrific. Now I know as time goes on, we'll look back even today and go, well, the role of social media and this and that, and our thoughts and opinions will change, and that's right and proper. But we knew it was bad then, and it's shocking now, and they're still doing it. Not to the same extent, but they're still doing it. And to be able to reach out to people with an agenda or a voice that can't be challenged because it's not a two-way street, right? It's not Twitter. It's going to be a website, or it's going to be a news bulletin, or it's going to be, something which you're going to push out there. So they're not going to be challenged on it. So they've got a responsibility, Dan, I think, to be able to, do the right thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be negative or you shouldn't say this or that, because that doesn't sell newspapers. If everyone's nice to each other, no one will read the news, because the news is there for doom and gloom. That's a fact. But you're right. There's no reason to be an absolute knob jock about it.
And I'll tell you what also bugs me as well. Two instances that sort of come to mind. The first one was when, poor Christian Eriksen had that heart attack on the pitch on one of the opening games. BBC just they held on for as long as they could. I know it wasn't the BBC's footage that was being used; it was UEFA's.
Yeah, but they could have cut away.
Exactly. At any point, they could have cut away, but no, just for a bit of drama, they held on for as long as they could before they cut to the studio. And I think a spokesperson came out not long after, said, "Oh yeah, we tried everything we could to cut." No, you didn't. No. You were there for a good 10, 15 minutes looking at the drama on the pitch. Cut back to Gary Lineker in seconds. We don't need to see this. It's harrowing. It's upsetting. And the second thing that bugs me is, like, through the Olympics, one of our athletes could have, not done so well. They're obviously very sad, very heartbroken about their performance. I think as anyone would be if they, probably not performed to the level they would have wanted to. But they have to grab that person as quickly as they can just to get the reaction. Oh, how do you feel? You can clearly see how they're feeling. They're bawling their eyes out to you.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick. At least let things settle down first before you start drilling and into them and getting into their psyche. Like,
Common decency.
just a bit of decency. There's no decency in the British media. You go in the vault, see you in the sea. Go eat some crab. Go eat some crab. Go eat some whelks or whatever you enjoy in the sea life. Whatever.
It's a good one.
What's your next one, Alex?
This is my last one, Dan.
Okay.
This is more timely. And it's quite simply people who clearly thought that they were above the law during last year's lockdown.
Oh, yes.
Seeing a group of friends entering a house with a beer when you aren't supposed to be mixing, and there wasn't any kind of vaccine during the autumn when I'm talking about last year, and you haven't seen anyone in months. This is friends, family, loved ones. Brilliant. Thanks, Derek. We'll just suffer months more isolation because you think you're special and you contract a known and highly infectious disease so you can play Cards Against Humanity or SingStar with your mates. Fucking brilliant. Well done. And that's what really irritates me. I know you're probably I can hear you, Dan, wanting to share your tales of woe. I think you've got a very good one to share.
Yeah.
But it's just, Pete, I wasn't doing that for fun, and I wasn't going out the house, and everyone's been affected. We talked about this before in different ways. This pandemic. Now I've got nothing to cry about, but I did give up my freedoms because I was told or asked to, and eventually became law. So why is it when I'm going out for my allocated daily exercise, bunch of knobheads, all going in coyly into a block of flats, clutching drinks under their arm, and hastily closing the door behind them? You don't all fucking live together because that's a 2-bed flat, mate. So unless you're in bunk beds and you're a little bit too old to do that, you don't fucking belong there. So get back in your own fucking home.
Yep. Agreed.
And that's just it's just flying in the face of people making their sacrifices, large or small. People are still doing what they've been asked to do for the greater good. So why is it that some people thought it was something which they didn't have to do? So fuck you. Then if I get it, I'm then a number, I'm then an R number. That then means that I then can't see my friends and family for even longer. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off, you selfish cunt. Get in the water.
Oh, he dropped the C-bomb.
It came to the very end, Dan, and apologies, and this is upset. But none of this, last year and a half, none of this has been about the individual. It's been about the collective. And the moment someone goes, you know what, I'm better than the collective, that's when you can fuck off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't need to repeat anything you said, but especially during the first lockdown, before I moved, I lived in a set of masonettes, and there was a car park behind our masonettes. And 2 or 3 times, there was one of the blocks would have friends over, and they'd have a barbecue and a gathering out in the back. And we're all following the rules that we've been set, so we can sort of see our friends and family again sooner. But this lot were clearly breaking the rules, and we were often sort of told to report it. And in the end, I sort of gave up, and I'll tell you why. First time we reported it, nothing happened. Second time, nothing happened, and then the third time, I don't know if they caught wind or anything like that. Basically, when the police arrived an hour late, everyone had scarpered. There was no one there. Too late. And I just thought, well, what's the point? I've done my bit, but I don't know. Especially when I think we're sort of quite underfunded with our police force. It just wasn't. You couldn't police it, but these people were getting away with it. It drove me insane. I mean, thankfully, I got to a point where I've moved and live in a house now, and for a while, one of our next door neighbours sort of had small gatherings, but it was quite noisy. She'd always have karaoke with her friends or whatever. It was quite annoying, but I just thought there's no point reporting it because nothing will get done. It kind of sucks. But yeah, no, I'm with you. The people that sort of, I don't know, I guess, sort of ruined it for us. It's just, yes, it's annoying. Maybe we wouldn't be here where we are now, but maybe we still would be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know.
No, but it's just the sheer hubris of someone just to think that they are better than everyone else and the rules don't apply to them. Yeah, no worries. I won't, go see elderly relatives who, they're on borrowed time, or I won't, I want to catch up with you, Dan, behind the mic. I want to see my friends. I want to go for a beer, but you don't, because with a highly infectious disease at that time, no vaccine, it was a little bit dumb. So just to see people go, you know what, I'm all right. And to be fair, I don't want to tarnish a particular demographic, but these were younger people that I'd see gathering. And I'm like, yeah, you may not be affected, but you could be. You may have something that you don't know. And you're going to be in hospital, and hopefully you got a hospital bed with your name on it with the necessary equipment. But it's unnecessary that you put yourself in that situation when you haven't got the safeguards. And it's just selfishness, Dan. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You can wait. You can do Zoom calls like everyone else, FaceTime, family, friends, whatever. You do not need to go around to your mates and have a party.
No, I think
during
even
a global
now,
fucking pandemic.
we're both quite well behaved still. We're still recording these episodes over Zoom. I think we did one episode or two actually, just before Halloween last year, and it's never really returned back to normal since. But maybe soon when things feel a little bit safer, perhaps, and we'll see how things get on. But for now, we're going to be well behaved and do what we need to do.
So yeah, Dan, for me, those selfish assholes getting to see.
Well, I'm going to wrap mine up before we go into the listener with it's a little bit more lighthearted. Fans of a band or artist who insist on telling them that they preferred their earlier stuff when a new album is released. And I tell you, this grinds my gears to no end. I'll tell you why. Because I like it when a band tries to challenge themselves and they try to release something different in the next album. And it could be the best album of their lives. Now, for example, Blink-182 went from being this sort of pop punk band, and then they released the self-titled album 2003, and it was phenomenal. No one complained. But now I think social media sort of amplifies these things, because another one of my favorite bands, Death Havana, they always try to do something different with each album. And as soon as they released Rituals, because it wasn't screamo rock music that some of their fans were used to, they were calling the band out on social media going, this is shite. Why are you releasing this? Why can't musicians challenge themselves?
Yeah, and evolve.
Exactly. They have to do these things to broaden their musical spectrum. I mean, you don't have to like it. If you prefer their old stuff, go listen to the old albums. Do you know what I mean? Who cares? I mean, it's happening with Angels and Airwaves at the moment. They've got a new album out in September. So most anticipated. Might do an album review. I'm not sure yet.
Ooh.
We'll see how I feel. They've released some new singles. Absolute bangers, Alex. Phenomenal. And I can see why Tom DeLonge sort of saying this is possibly his best work in years. It's cliche because all musicians say it. But no, people have to call them out going, this is shite. I prefer your old stuff. Well, go listen to We Don't Need to Whisper an Eye Empire then. I don't want to read your shitty comments about what you think. Be a bit positive.
Any band or artist that has stood the test of time and managed to break through that second album, because I think it's, whether you know it or not, you'll recognize, if you know anything about music, that a follow-up to a debut is very, very difficult for an artist, because there's so much pressure to be able to match it and do one better. So if they've got multiple albums out and they're still being paid by a record label and they're still being paid to do what they love, then they would have mixed things up. I mean, look at, whether you like them or not, look at the Beatles. they changed dramatically if you look at the way they were in the late 50s to where they were ended up in the 70s.
Same with the Beach Boys, because
100%.
I think both bands were doing stuff that no one had even heard.
No. Different, and they were in different parts of their lives. The Beatles famously, were doing drugs, and they did a stint in India, and all those things influenced their music. And if they just did the same stuff as they did, where 2-minute long songs, fine. But you're not going to evolve as an artist. You're not going to bring new people on board. And so you're just going to die a death because those people get bored of it eventually anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So 100% Dan. I'm all the way for it, for sure.
I sort of find bands that do sort of continue to sort of push the same sort of sound all the time. I do get bored. I love Newfound Glory, but I don't know how many albums I need to listen to that sort of sound the same back to back.
Mm.
I want to hear bands being challenged. I want to hear that evolution, like you say. So yeah, these so-called fans, you're going in the vault. Sorry, bye.
See ya.
So on to the listeners, Alex. So what we'll do, we'll read out the comments, and then we've got a couple of voice notes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you might have to find a new co-host for the podcast with one of these voice notes.
Oh.
But when we get there, so we'll start off with Kyle. People with live, laugh, love, wall art, get in the fucking sea. Can you mark yourself safe from that comment?
I can. I'm adding my status update, and there's no fear of me being ditched to the sea with anything like that in my house.
Yeah, I rent, so I don't have anything like that. But I think my parents do. So sorry, Mum. Sorry, Dad. In you go. Next up, we've got Lee. He says, "Catch me a comet." That's scathing.
That is. That's got a sting down.
Yeah, I think he might have just sort of said that in tongue in cheek, but if people want to hear about Catch Me Comet, we've got parts 1 and 2 from earlier in the year. If you'll listen to my old band. But yeah, looks like we're going in the vault. I'm already going in once. I'm going in twice.
Just for good measure.
Yeah. We've got Ashley. He says, people with their own names tattooed on them or say Bay and Jarl. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Why do you need your own name tattooed on you?
Yeah.
Secondly, Bay, B-A-E. Shit saying, get in the sea.
Yeah, it's nothing.
And Jarl, so I think this is more of a North America thing. Like it's like, hey, Jarl. I didn't know that was a thing here.
Well, it shouldn't be. I mean, if it's spoken where it's originated, that's fair enough because that's an identity and that's the way they speak. But in this country, it does come across a little bit odd, Dan. I've got to say.
Next up, we got Sean, who bolted onto Ashley's comment. He said, "Why do people have their kids' date of birth tattooed? Are they that thick they cannot remember it?"
I mean, it's an interesting one. I mean, I don't have a tattoo. I've always threatened one. My wife says, no, if you do, then you'll get divorced. And that's probably a whole different kind of conversation that we can spin off to, but we won't. But I guess tattoos are quite personal and that may be important to them. But you're right, Dan. They know it. So why do they have to be reminded of it? I don't know. If it's part of a bigger tattoo, I don't know. Maybe there's some symbolism weaved in there, perhaps. I don't know.
I see the sentimental value in it. I mean, I don't have kids, and it's certainly not something I'd want to get tattooed on me. But, well, sorry, guys. Sean's condemned you to the vault.
Indeed.
Next up, we got Dan. This is probably more of an unpopular opinion. So it looks like I'm going into the vault for a third time, and you're being chucked in with me.
Oh.
The final season of Game of Thrones was a masterpiece, in my opinion. Most people don't like endings.
Way.
Same thing happened with final season of Lost.
No, man, it's not about that. Who's that? Dan.
That was Dan, my namesake.
Dan, man, you're way off the mark. I don't mind a good series ending on a high. Look at Daredevil season 3.
I don't know if I ever got that far, to be honest. I never Never got to finish it.
Oh, there's a fantastic scene, Dan, on Kingpin and Karen. It's one of the best of modern TV script work and directorship. It's brilliant. But all things aside, I'm happy with something finishing on a high. But if it's finished poorly, and we talked about this before, Dan, about how we've been burnt by Lost and by the TV shows. In fact, we've got cancelled ones just a couple of months ago now, or weeks. I understand in principle, but I know that Game of Thrones. We sat through fucking hours of brilliant content, storyline, gratuitous naked bodies and swearing. It's everything that I love in a TV program, and it's in a medieval, British setting. But what they did to those characters was just absolute murder. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? That's the whole point of this episode. But I don't agree with Dan that one. I'm sorry. It's not for the sake of it. It's just it was poorly handled.
Well, interestingly, our next episode is going to be disappointing finale. So I have no doubt we'll dive into these two a little bit further.
For sure.
Next up, we got Ray. She says, what really grinds my gears are people who, on finding out I'm gay, make a big show and dance about how totally okay with it they are. The implication being that I should be grateful and shouldn't have expected their acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they chose to share that information, then you should be honoured, because that's something they want to, share with you that's really, really quite personal and their identity. The fact they're sharing it, I think, is just for the fact of they anticipate that someone should just deal with it. So why anyone? I mean, I can't relate to Ray's comments, but I can appreciate if you're sharing that, you don't really give a fuck if someone's going to be like, yeah, don't worry about it, it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why people...
Like I fucking asked you. I'm just telling you something. Surely.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you're... It's awkward, isn't it? It's like when you're at a party and you sort of explain that, and then this person has to shout out about it to people that are coming over. Oh, this is such and such, and they're gay. Why does it matter if they're gay?
Doesn't matter.
Are we not an accepting society now? I don't know. Because we were talking off air, weren't we, Alex? So we've both got a gay friend. We don't ever really think of him as gay. It's just like, it's just
a person.
It's just a person. We love him to death, and that's it.
It's just. It's go back to what I said right at the beginning. It doesn't matter. Like, you judge people on their actions, not on their sexual orientation or the way they look or where they come from. Judge them on what they say and what they do, not because they subscribe to something or other. So whilst I don't understand, what Ray's gone through, I can at least empathise, because it's people just fuck off. Like, why am I inviting comment? If they're sharing that fact, you should be honoured, because otherwise I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, just accept it.
It's like people saying, oh yeah, I've got gay mates, or I've got a black friend. Fucking well done. But what's that got to do with anything? It's pointless information. And then maybe it's that person being nervous or not know how to deal with it. That's on them, right? That's not on you. So Ray, 100%, I totally empathise where you're getting at. People just deal with it. It shouldn't be a big thing for them.
No, agreed. Next up, we've got Jake. He's one word, and I think that pretty much explains a lot of our gear grinders. People. People.
They've got a lot to answer for, Dan.
They do. I think we've just put a lot of people in Vault 101 and actually directly into the sea. Next up, we've got Leighton. He's put a couple to us. And I'm going to inadvertently drop the C-bomb again, because he's put it in his comment. I'll tell you what, Al. I'll tell you what fucks me right off. People that sit down in coffee shops before ordering.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, Tracy. You take the only fucking seat in the whole place, even though there's 23...
This is great, by the way.
Oh, God. There's 23 people in front of your dickhead of a husband yet to order. Don't be a cunt. Order, then find a seat, or you'll be drinking seawater very soon, you bitch.
I think that's almost poetic. The choice of words is brilliant.
Yeah.
It is spot on, though, Dan, because Tracy's useless husband is queuing up there, and you're behind him, and you're like, oh, don't worry, I've got a. We're all waiting. We're all going to get a table, and then you get to the end of the queue, and they said, "Do you want takeaway or sit in?" Looking around, going, "I should be all right. I'll sit in." And everyone collects their coffees, and sure enough, no, there's no fucking seat available because everyone else queue dived. Queue diving again, Dan. It's queue fucking diving. All that I've talked about, all the moaned about this episode is queue diving, and this is a version of it. So I'm 100% with late on that one.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to bolt onto that as well.
Yeah.
Tell what grinds my gears. It's when you go into a coffee shop and there's someone in front of you, and it's just you behind them. There's no one else. It's pretty quiet, but they'll stand there for ages looking at the menu on the wall, debating what they're going to get, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we'll have 6 coffees, 12 croissants, and God knows what." You're like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, I only wanted a coffee."
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Getting to see. Leighton also adds Crocs. And he says, what even are they? We have flip-flops, sliders, beach shoes, wellies, slippers. Why do we need Crocs?
I only wear probably 2 types of shoes, trainers or
slippers.
Trainers or trainers.
Oh,
I do have some slippers, but what I don't see the need. We're not in a country that needs to air your feet out. I've never been inclined to get any down. I think it's fair to say.
No, I mean they're fucking ugly, aren't they? They're just filthy.
Swiss cheese on your feet, aren't they, with all the holes?
Yeah, I mean pre-pandemic shoes as well. So I've actually got a smart pair of shoes I wear to work, but I haven't worn them for a while because I'm in the office when I am pretty much on my own. So there's no need to dress smart. Go in my civvies, do my job, go home. No one needs to see me. Next up, we have got Kelly. She says, people who knock on your door to buy gold, and when you say no, keep going on at you because everyone has something, even if it's only one earring. Then after another no thanks, they ask if they can check your jewellery box at the door. What? Yeah, sure. I'm going to do that.
Is this a thing?
This is a thing. So I actually sort of dived in. I've never had anyone at my door ask to see gold, but I hate cold.
Well, they're a goblin or something? Is that a modern day goblin? That's a really odd concept. What to buy your jewelry off you because of the value of that's really strange. I've never heard that before, Dan.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I've never heard of it either. But yeah,
I've had the political campaign. I've had the odd Jehovah's Witness, and they're fine, and I'll let them speak at me, even if I don't affiliate myself with their religion. I'll still give them the time. But an actual gold digger, that's fascinating. And also really creepy. Yeah. No, you can't get him a fucking house.
Sometimes you get the odd, I suppose the odd pikey that want to scrap metal, but yeah, I've never heard of that. Wow. I genuinely find that quite bizarre. I mean, not in Portsmouth anyway. I think this is sort of more Fareham, Southampton way. But yeah, I mean, stay away from my house. You're not having my gold. Not that I've actually got any.
If I had some, you're not entitled to it, so fuck off.
So yeah, I mean, just in general, cold callers can get in the sea. Yeah. I don't want to hear about politics or religion. I don't want to know if mate up the road's having his windows cleaned. Do I want mine done? No, not really. Just chuck a flyer through my door or something. And if I'm interested, I'll give you a call. Whatevs. And then last up, Alex, is from the hive mind of the bride tribe. So I think if people go back to our birthday episode, they'll find out why I'm a bridesman. They pitched in together and said societal expectations. So that's societal expectations. And if you're wondering what they mean, we're talking about people that, you go to a party or you catch up with friends or family and they go, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to get married? Why aren't you married yet? Why don't you have kids yet? When are you going to buy a house? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? Well, I'll tell you what. When are you going to get a degree? same question, just
Slap back down.
a different. Yeah, exactly, a slapback.
Yeah.
I don't get it. You know, we're of a generation now. I think we're not relaxed per se. You know, I don't think. I mean, as friends, you know, we don't sort of really have those expectations. We sort of just do it as and when, don't we? Right?
So people grow up at different. Well, grow up. People have different experiences at different times. So traditionally you would probably just go straight into work, and then in more recent decades you expected them to do university, and then they've taken another route and gone, actually, shit, we've got too many people at university, go straight into work. And so you've got a mix of people who've gone different routes, different lifestyles, people who've had kids soon after school, people who don't have kids because that's not, and that's fine. But yeah, 100%, I get it. Why should it be of anyone's say so or ask the question? It's down to you, right? If you want to do what you want to do, it's your life.
Yep, exactly. So societal expectations, you're going in the vault.
But I've got some, Dan, that I got from the social as well. So I got Howard. Howard said, people who occupy an entire aisle in the supermarket. So we'll have that coming up very shortly. But yeah, just get out of the way. Get your ass out of the way and move along. You don't need to be hogging the aisles.
Yeah. Is this the Howards that did the Star Wars episode with us?
Indeed, it was.
Yes.
All the way back from season God knows what, a couple of years ago. And there wasn't. It was 18 months, wasn't it? Beginning of this?
Yeah, it was during the first lockdown.
It was. It's Howard. Then we've got a fellow grammar Nazi. It's the only time that I'll say it in a positive sense, that term, or that title. Emma says, people using their wrong there, or there.
Yep.
So THEIR, THERE, or THEY apostrophe RE, or you're or you are, or spelled the same way. People who don't know grammar. And it does grind my gears a little bit. I do find myself not being that person. Just have nothing to say on a social media post other than asterisks, and I correct them. I don't do it, but I'd love to because they're embarrassing themselves then.
Tempting. Just to add to that, lose or loose.
Oh yeah.
Why do people
That's an easy one.
Pompey are loosing? So no, it's they're losing. Get it right. It's not a double O. It's just a single O. So we need.
On a similar note, Emma then continues and says people mispronouncing specifically as pacifically. Well, that's not even a thing, and that's actually a C. It's not Pacific, it's specific, or specifically, not Pacific or pacifically, because that's not even a thing. So similar things there, but yeah, people who just don't know how to wield the English language. Alistair has got a good one that I actually share. So folks that don't acknowledge when you open a door for them. Right, cheers then. I'll just stand here. You've gone out of your way to open the door, is let someone ahead of you or to come in, whatever the scenario is. And people just think, yeah, fine. Fuck you. I'm entitled. I want that you're not. I'm going out of my way to acknowledge that I want you to go first because, I'm being polite. Again, it's Britishness. I keep on saying that. It's true. And they just go, yeah, that you're right. You are my slave. You are to get out of my way. No.
Oh yeah, I feel that pain. Not so much my current employer, but when I was with my previous employer, you'd hold the door for your colleagues, but you would get no response. I'd just be like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's just
rude,
disrespectful. We have got another Tom. He says, I don't want these in supermarket shopping, by the way. I don't want these tins of beans now. I'll dump it right here by the cereal. When actually it's 2 aisles away. FFS.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. Now, someone coming from that area of retail, Dan, you can probably understand it more than most about, the laziness of people just not returning stuff where they're supposed to. But
yeah,
you'll go pick up, I don't know, my son's nappies at the time or his baby wipes, and there'll be a fucking pastry there. Why the fuck is there a Danish pastry sat next to fucking nappies? Or why is it that I go to pick up a bag of pasta and right next to it is a full-blown chicken,
Yeah,
uncooked chicken.
doesn't
Like,
make sense. Does
why?
it?
What kind of decision did you make when you were there at the aisle that prompted you to drop off that item and couldn't even be bothered to take it back? Dan, I go out of my way to return something if I haven't bought it yet and it's not where it's supposed to be. I will go back to where I got it from and put it back.
Yeah, agreed.
So why people can't be fucked to do it is beyond me. We've got one from Dave. He says isolation. And I think we can all agree, Dan, we've all been isolated to some extent or other, unless you're 6 people clutching beers who are now at the bottom of the sea. We've all been isolating like good human beings or law-abiding. And recently having to do self-isolation was an absolute kick in the nuts. So I do agree with that one. We've got another one, actually. So this is Chris. He says, slow people who walk together and block the pavement in front of me. We're going to hear that one in a little while. I can stab them, you say. Which I think is a bit...
That's a bit savage.
Bit savage, but fair, I guess. Don't do it, please. But yes. We've got one from Sally who says dog poo left on the ground.
Yep.
Why?
I hate that.
If you go look after another animal, you pick up their shit.
Exactly. Do you know what? I can't remember where I was actually. I think I was walking home from work the other day, and you know when you sort of like you put your foot in dog muck and it sort of slides.
Yeah.
That happened. I thought, oh, what the fuck was that? And I looked. It was just a massive smear of shit across the floor. Just pick it up. You know, you must have like poo bags. Even better, do you know what? For my cat and its cat litter tray, I've got a scoop. And I bought a load of nappy bags, Tesco value ones, like 500 for £1. There you go, sorted. I scoop it in, tie it up, and away it goes until I'm ready to clean this litter tray. Job done. Just do that.
And you know, there's some people with dog walkers, and look, hold my hands up. I've never had a dog. I've always wanted one. So I do talk as though I don't have a dog, but I have seen owners who have the bags in the dog harness or the dog covers. Have you seen those, Dan? You know, like they're usually by the company Canine. Other brands are available, I'm sure. I just don't know them. And they've got little pockets in his vest that his dog wears, and you know, you've got all manner of things, but it has its own bags. Why not spend a little bit of money on your dog that you can clearly love and look after it? And even if you don't have something, you know, I don't know, just deal with it, kick it out of the way, do something. But there's too many people who just don't bother. And there's more than a couple of roads down where I used to live in Portsmouth where people would use it as a cut through to the common. I'm not saying that I'd want them to do it there, because actually people use that as a recreational ground. They kick footballs, they have picnics, they do barbecues. So I much prefer it's not there. But why fucking do it at all?
Exactly.
Pick up your shit from your family member, because that's the way you should be treating them. I do not want to be stepping that. I do not want to have to be running the gauntlet when I'm walking to and from my house. It's just grinds my gears down. So that's a really good one.
Yep. Fantastic
And
one.
we've got another one from another Dan. And they say, when people hand you a cup of tea with their fingers around the rim instead of using the handle.
Oh, no. No one needs that in their life.
We don't need that extra flavour. I think it's fair to say. And even now, I think we must think differently to the way we were before in terms of cleanliness and how we interact with people. And sure enough, I won't be doing that. So yeah, I know they may be offering the handle to you. It's not lost upon me that they're doing it because they don't want you to hurt yourself. Because if you're handing a mug to someone, right, you're holding the handle. So what are they going to do? But put it down and let them pick up the handle.
Yeah.
Don't touch the rim, because, well, I won't be so vulgar as to describe what you could have been doing with your hands, but you're relying upon someone to be clean or, you know, to have good hygiene, and that's, as we know, that's not always the case.
Yeah. Agree with that one, especially in current times.
Indeed.
Onto the voice messages, Alex. Let's start off with Gemma's, but first, let's just rewind for a moment to our Black Widow episode and hear what I said. Next up, we got Gemma, who said, I absolutely loved it. And she put loved it in big capitals. I guess some people are probably easier to please than us, but I mean, this is why we do the podcast. We have to break this stuff down.
It's interesting that I think you simultaneously cast shade on us and on Gemma in one foul swoop down.
I have
people are easier to please.
She's part of the bride tribe, so I have no doubt she'll be WhatsApping me after this episode, giving me some grief. But yeah.
Feedback.
So that's what I said.
Uh-oh.
And it appears that I'm going to be destined for the Mariana Trench because let's hear the first half of Gemma's message.
Do you know what really grinds my fucking gears? Friends begging you to do voice notes or comments for their podcast and then throwing shade all over you.
Oh boy, I mean, that's scathing, right?
You did ask for it though, Dan.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, casting shade, inadvertently as well. It was quite an innocent comment, I think, but
it was. It's all in delivery, though, as they say. I
did say that, you know, she's probably going to come and get me for that, and she did. She took her opportunity, and you know, this episode, Room 101, I'll see myself in. Indeed. But what was her second message, Alex?
Let's have a listen.
Why is it men think football as an excuse not to do anything or to turn up late to work when they're meant to be building my bloody extension?
Builders.
Yeah. And actually, anyone who thought that they could skive off work to watch an England game, I mean, you're paid to do the job and you're paid to get in at work at a normal time. Doesn't matter if it's extra time, doesn't matter if it's penalties, doesn't matter if you want the extra beer or not. If you want to get paid, you fucking come when you're supposed to.
Yeah.
So, 100%, I agree.
I totally agree, and I can relate to that. So, on the day of the England-Germany game, we had a plumber had to come over to sort out a leak under one of our kitchen cupboards.
Oi, oi. This sounds like the beginning of a porno, Dan.
Oh, I wish it was. I mean, it's not that saucy. It's not that saucy, to be honest. It's not even racy. No. So, guy comes over, takes the shelf out of the cupboard. So
you can almost hear the saxophone music in the background.
Can we layer this?
Hot under the collar.
Is there any way we can layer some sax music underneath this story?
I'm going to give it a go.
Oh, beautiful.
So anyway, set the scene. So yeah, the door goes. This strapping man who's a little bit sweaty with the sun glistening off his forehead. You can tell I've seen too many of those. Sorry, I digress. Sorry, Dan.
So anyway, he comes in. He takes
off his pants.
He comes in, he takes the shelf out of the cupboard so he can get in properly, you know. So the middle shelf's out, he's leaned up against the wall. Cuts a chunk out of the cupboard so he can get to this broken pipe. He replaces it and he says, I'll be back between 4 to 5 o'clock. Just to check there's no more leaks and I'll put your shelf back in. So obviously roll on 5 o'clock. I've just finished work, sat down for the England-Germany game and I'm waiting for him. He doesn't show up, Alex.
Nope. He's in
doesn't come. He still hasn't turned up, and I should probably make my landlord aware that this shelf still isn't fixed or put back in properly. But the leak's fine, that's sorted. Happy days. So feel your pain, Gemma. And next up, we got Claire.
What really winds me up is when I'm out running and there's a group of people or there's a couple holding hands and they literally do not want to part from each other just to let you pass. So I'm right on the edge of the pavement and I still end up going out in the road. Like, I don't want the whole pavement, but I'd also like to not get run over,
Yeah, totally agree with that. People that take up the pavement. So when you get groups of people, 2 or 3 people, and even like pre-pandemic, you used to drive my head in. Used to do my head in. I just want to get past. I say, driving. When I'm walking, same thing. I want to get to A to B as quickly as I can. Job done. I don't want to be stuck behind you.
No. And I was going to say the Britishness in me. If I'm holding up with a group of people, family or friends or whatever, I'm literally throwing myself in harm's way so I don't hold up someone behind me. I'm so overly polite, Dan, that I'm apologetic. I'm so sorry. Please go past. And I'll be throwing my son into the road with me on oncoming traffic just so I don't hold people up behind me. So, yeah, for people that just don't have that awareness, it's unacceptable, Dan.
Yeah, and personal space, I totally get it, especially during a pandemic. I don't want people sort of like climbing over me so they can look at the shelves or get something. Just wait. Because, again, I'm the sort of shopper that I want to go in, I want to get out as quickly as I can. I'm not going to be there for long. But then you got all these, I'm bolting on to someone else's gear grinds. Tell you what bugs me, Alex. It's like when you're in a supermarket, you're waiting to get to a certain point. Now, I'm quite a patient person, but why do people have to sort of stand there? In the meat aisle, for example, why do they have to hold something up for so long and look at it? Just hurry up, pick your meat, so I can get there. Because I'm literally just going to pick up the first packet I see with a good date on it, and I'm off.
Ease off.
Because
it's not like you don't know what you're looking at. You can bet your ass you've seen that item before. You know what to expect. Why dilly-dally?
Exactly.
Get on with it.
So, for Volume 1, I think Vault 101 OTT style is quite full. But we've got some poor bastards that are surrounding it with, well, you've chained them to bits of concrete, Alex.
Yeah, they are going into the water.
And I have no doubt that we'll do a Volume 2 in the near future because, to be honest, I've laughed my head off throughout this episode. You've probably not heard it because I'm sort of like stifling it. But yeah, phenomenal. What an episode.
It's a beautiful thing.
Well, Alex, that is it for another week.
It is.
Well, next time we want to know your disappointing finales. So,
yes.
as you would have heard earlier, we were talking about the finale of Game of Thrones and Lost, which I'm sure we'll dive more into. Tell us some TV series or films where you got to the end and you thought, well, that was a little bit shite.
Oh, we're going to do films as well?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh,
let's
brilliant.
mix it up. Let's do films as well, because I've got a couple in there that I'm sure I could... Yeah, let's mix it up.
Yeah. I mean,
let's have a good time.
Not to drag it out, Dan, but very, very quickly, because I won't use this one in the next episode. I recently watched Solo, as in the Star Wars film. And I'd waited this long because people don't speak highly of it. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to dabble in a bit of Disney Plus. And sure enough, it was there. And Jesus, was it the biggest pile of crap I've ever watched. But it could have ended so much more better than it did. Because you know the ending, you know he survives, you know that he sticks it out with Chewbacca. But it was pointless. And then he had Darth fucking Maul, who's got no place in that timeline, who last we saw was cut in half. Now, I know in the books he doesn't die, etc., etc., and a lot of people may not know that. But why is he in that film? Why is he behind the scenes? Do you know this, Dan? I'm spoiling it for you, by the way.
No. To be honest, I wasn't that bothered.
Don't, mate. It's fucking terrible. I'm sorry if I spoiled it.
I'm
sorry to anyone else.
I should trust you after Fantastic Beasts 2. Fucking hell.
Oh, Jesus, they're making a third. But anyway, it's so bad. You're like, well, you just dropped it in there. It's a big reveal. Why? Like, just no. It was easy. We know the ending. Just stay lightly, line us up to go into A New Hope, and we'll then pick up the character then a couple of decades later. But no, even they fuck that up. And that's very, very difficult to do because there's no ambiguity about where that character is going at the end of that film. So yeah, there's plenty of them out there. I'm going to dust off quite a few because there's quite a few endings that you just go, come on, guys. I've just sat through. I've invested all my time. I've ignored my family. I am not seeing friends, not at the pub. I'm here to watch this, and you've let me down. So I think I'm really going to enjoy that one. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be good fun. I'm looking forward to writing up my notes while I'm chilling out over in Ireland next week.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at the time of the recording, I'll already be there. Well, when this episode drops, should I say, I'll already be there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to chilling out and hammering these notes out in the evenings.
Oh, yes.
Looking forward to it. Now, if you want to get in touch and let us know, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at On The Topic Pod. And if you want to leave us a voice message, I usually put a link in the comments. Follow that link. It'll take you through to Anchor, where you can leave us a voice message and be a part of the show like Claire and Gemma.
Oh, yes.
And Alex, we've got a blog.
We've got a website. It's WordPress. It's very, very simple. All one word, all lowercase. On the topic podcast.wordpress.com. So on the topic podcast.wordpress.com, you can use that to listen to all of our back catalogue. You don't have to use any of your providers if you don't wish to. It's all there to stream at your leisure. And on there, or we also have our bios, so you can see our ugly mugs, and you can read about what we're at. And we've got links to our partner affiliated content, one of which is Morbid and Mundane. We both support Joey as local talent in Portsmouth and his fantastic garms. So have a look. It's a treasure trove of good, time-relevant content. Visit the website, give us some love. And that's something that you can go and visit whenever you wish.
Indeed. We've got people voting, Alex. This won't be until maybe early next year. We'll be doing a review of Cobra Kai Series 4, as we've discovered is being released at the end of December.
Sure is.
Sex Education Season 3 next month. Looking forward to that.
Oh, it's going to be a goodie.
We weren't too sure, but people have voted for it, Alex. They want us to talk about Marvel's What If on Disney Plus, which will be dropping the same day this episode does. It's also MCU canon, so that's our bread and butter here at the on the topic. So get involved. Let us know your thoughts on any of these things once they come around in the future. But keep an eye on those socials. Give us some love. Come talk to me on Twitter. I'm always on there. Keep me distracted from work.
A very valid cause indeed.
Yep. Beautiful. Well, it is time to sign off. I think Portsmouth Harbour is well and truly loaded at the moment.
It is. It's chock-a-block. The ships can't go past for fear of running aground on all of the people that we have dedicated to the briny depths. Indeed.
For another week, I've been Dan.
And I've been Alex.
And we'll see you next time.